She may be the face. Ah! It's the Holy Hour. How's it going, Cure fans? Welcome to the bi-weekly Cure podcast, where we talk about the greatest band ever, The Cure. Thanks for joining us. I'm Gavin, and we got an awesome episode for you guys that I want to jump right into. This is one that we've been kind of lobbying for a long time. We said we'd love to just get people's conversations the way we're talking out there, and just kind of plug them in and have your own episode here on the Holy Hour. And we were very fortunate enough to have a conversation sent in right after Christmas. So this is kind of one that we've been sitting on for way too long. And I really wanted to get it out to you guys. But our friend Bella and her buddy Kelly, who's been on the show as well, got together before the holidays there and just got talking and recorded it. And we're lucky enough to be a part of this, and we can share it with you guys. And it's a great conversation. They focus on Porl Thompson, and so kind of continuing with our idea that we wanted to do member profiles here on the show. And unfortunately, we had to get it rolling with Andy in the sense that we lost him recently, and so we kicked it off with Andy breaking with the idea of saving member profiles until we ran out of albums. So we figured, why not? Let's just keep them rolling. And thankfully, Porl's still with us, but we figured we'd continue on now and use this as a episode to showcase the brilliance of Porl Thompson. Porl wishes to now go by Pearl, so there's some wording in the names, and they address this too, and we're not really sure what the full situation is, so nobody really wants to fully speculate. So just for the sake of ease, we're referring to the past, so that's the approach I'm taking, and it sounds like they kind of have taken the conversation too. So we address him as Porl Thompson. Definitely a million apologies out there if it's not the right wording, but no one's trying to be offensive in any means. Nothing but praise for Porl and Pearl and the whole crew. And Paul, actually, I think his actual name is Paul, birth name, and I even believe Porl was just stemmed off of Paul. And if you say it like they say it, like Paul, it basically is Porl. But there's clearly interviews where they're calling him Porl, and that's how it's spelled, but maybe it's just one of those weird variation spellings on pole. So anyway, if I haven't lost you yet, don't mind me. I'll be gone in a few seconds, and you can listen to this wonderful conversation by our friends Bella and Kelly. They're out in Memphis, and it's not just Porl too. By the end, they kind of branch out and have a lot of good Cure talk. So I am very happy to present the conversation now and kick it off to Bella and Kelly. Take it away, guys.
Okay, hi. Hello. We are coming to you live from the Flying Saucer in Memphis, Tennessee. I drove 3 hours in the rain just to be here. My name's Kelly.
Yeah, and I'm Bella.
And I'm hanging out with Bella.
Here I am.
Yeah, I drove 3 hours. I had family shit to do, but thought I'd hang out with Bella while I was here. And we're going to talk to you today about something very important. We're going to talk to you about Porl Thompson.
So do we call Porl, like Pearl, the artist formerly known as Porl? How do we do that? I don't want to insult anyone.
No, I think that's a slippery, not slippery. I think that is a good question. That is a very, very good question. What do you call him now, Porl or Pearl? And I think now it's just, I'm sure he'd answered either one.
Fair enough.
You know, I'm sure he'd answer either one, but good old Pearl is the topic at hand today. See, we thought people talk about how awesome Robert is all the time, and we thought we should talk about how awesome Porl Thompson is, because he was a major contributor of The Cure, and I say that, and I use that from 84 to 92. 93.
The landmarks.
We are armed with pretzels.
Yes, and beer.
And we're going to talk to you, conversate. At least try Try to stay on topic.
If we're honest, you're going to do most of the talking because you're a wealth of information.
Well, you know, I mean,
and I'm a question asker.
Okay. Well, first things first.
All right.
Why is Porl awesome? I can.
This is a thesis.
I think one of the first reasons is I think he's the only member of the band that has quit and come back 3 times. I think anybody that can do that, especially in that band,
Yeah.
because some of the members of that band left the band and swore to never come back. So
where do we start with Porl?
I think that's one thing that makes him awesome. Now, I do think that the fact that he was married to Robert's sister for so many years,
That doesn't hurt.
yeah, that didn't hurt either.
That doesn't hurt connections.
In 1994, when he left the group, Robert said, Porl is free to do what he needs to do because he is the only true artist in the band.
Now, is that a testament to actual physical art, or is that a broader statement about Porl as a person?
I think it's...
What do you mean? What do you mean, Robert? Tell me.
I think that statement was more of like, you know, I think it shows Robert's respect for the guy.
Yeah.
But Porl also was involved in a lot of other things besides The Cure. See, here's the thing. It's like Porl was more of an artist than a musician.
Right. And Porl continues as Pearl to create visual art.
There's all kinds of stuff.
Striking mirror pieces and actual
Those little
massive-
sculptures he was doing,
Yeah.
the China sculptures.
all over
Like,
all over Instagram.
It's like, who does that? Like, you know?
You go and you live in the desert, and that's what you do.
Porl was a member of the group from the very beginning in 1977. He was a member of the group from the very beginning, and he left before they made the first record because he went off and did other things. He played in some other bands, and you know, and he's definitely the kind of artist that moves on when it feels necessary. Which is what I mean. I used to play with a guy that used to behave that way. He was a drummer, and he quit our band because he said he just wasn't feeling it and needed to go do something else. Well, he went and did stop animation puppetry.
So just a child of the wind, a spirit of the wind.
And when he was ready to play drums again, he gave me a call.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, and I was like, yeah, sure. You know? So I understand that to a casual fan that might seem flighty. I think most die-hard Cure fans honestly respect that come and go aspect.
I think so.
You know?
Because to be able to leave and come back just as solid as you were when the band was formed.
Spicy lemon for you guys.
Thank you.
Of course.
I think that's a testament to being an incredible player. If you can go away for that long and come back and jump right back in and still be incredible, you're incredible. No doubt about it.
And his contributions, I feel like were really accidental too.
What do you mean accidental?
Well, he was hanging out with Robert, and they went back to the studio, and he played guitar and saxophone on "Give Me It," and that's how he came back into the group. They had a huge tour lined up. They had no band. Robert had no band.
So this was in that intermediate.
Yeah.
Everything sort of fell apart.
And then that's how he came back into the group. And they found themselves in LA after the end of that tour rehearsing Head on the Door material. And I think it's just by pure happenstance. Because I honestly wonder if the reason why Porl left the group in the first place was let's face it, The Cure was wanting to be a punk band in the beginning.
Right. Yeah.
And punk rock didn't really seem very lasting, even in the 70s. You can only take it so far.
Okay.
Like, Joy Division began as a punk band, but then they evolved into something else.
Right. Yeah.
Any of the bands from that era, people have realized Crawley and Manchester were only like 25 miles from each other. Okay.
Yeah.
So anybody living in England at that time I think they all sort of subconsciously knew, okay, this punk thing is not going to last. So we all got to take it somewhere. We all got to do something different, you know.
Like a statement in the moment, but the lasting effects are going to have to be something that's...
It's like the gateway drug.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's like the gateway drug. I mean, that's why there's such a difference between 17 Seconds and Three Imaginary Boys. So I often wonder if he left the group because he didn't really see a future in that, and then came back because he was like, wait a minute, you're actually doing things that I can, you know.
The direction has changed. I feel like I can get on board.
And if you look at the album credits, it says that he plays guitar and synthesizers and percussion on Head on the Door. I often wonder if he plays a lot more synth than he does guitar. But we wouldn't have songs like Baby Screams and Push without Porl Thompson.
I can't imagine a world without Push.
We wouldn't have songs like The Blood. He actually...
I can't imagine a world without that.
The Blood was a song that he wrote because he was really into that Spanish guitar thing. And he came up with that riff, and Robert pretty much wrote the song around it. So it's kind of like... It's sort of like him coming back, combined with the technology of the time, which is the Yamaha DX7. So without Porl, we wouldn't have as good of a record. I think Head on the Door would have been far more synthy without Porl. But without the DX7, Head on the Door would have been a little more, you know, guitar wanky.
That makes sense.
So I've always said that he's what made that album and the next one, Kiss Me. There's a lot of guitar work on Kiss Me. You know, Robert's not playing it, you know. There's a lot of guitar work on Kiss Me. But we're talking about the peak years. These are the peak years. Like, you know, I mean, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. Would the band have suffered without his presence, you know? But the guy, like I said, the guy did more than just play guitar. Kiss Me was the first band that Robert Smith allowed. First album that Robert Smith allowed the other members to bring in ideas.
The demos.
Yeah, they brought in ideas, and they just built songs around everything. And no idea was a bad idea. And you know, would Kiss Me have been different without his contributions? Probably. It probably would have been very, very different. I mean, we wouldn't have the amazing guitar on Just Like Heaven.
Right.
I mean, little side note: most people don't realize Just Like Heaven was recorded in one take.
I didn't realize that at all.
Yeah, there used to be this recording magazine I used to get a subscription to, and they would highlight a song every month, and kind of how, you know, talk about the song and maybe the album it was on, and kind of how it was recorded and everything. And then one month it was Just Like Heaven, and they interviewed Simon Gallup. He explained that the song started off one way. And he said him and Robert sat on the steps of the studio while drinking, while he wrote the lyrics, while Simon played the bass line. And he said they went in, they rehearsed the song a couple of times, they hit record, and that was it, one take.
That's wacky.
And the drum intro was basically Boris Williams counting everybody in. And like the drum roll was just him, you know.
You guys ready? Let's do this.
To me, it makes sense. That's how it would be. But the fact that they worked, I mean, it explains how that song was done in 3 days. It was, you know, they worked it up in 3 days. The fact that a song like that came together that quickly, and then it was done in one take, and it's one of their, if not their biggest song. I mean, I don't know, is it? I mean, like,
it's certainly up there.
It's certainly up there. One of your biggest hits, most well-known songs. Is done that quickly. It just shows that every member of the band knew what they were doing, but every member of the band contributed. But it also shows that without that guitar, without that lead guitar line, that song would have been completely different.
Right.
You know, completely different. Another side note, or fun fact, I think another fun fact about Porl Thompson is that he did not play the guitar solo on From the Edge of the Deep Green Sea.
No?
No, he did not. Robert did.
Oh. Fun facts.
Mm-hmm. And there's a funny reason why.
What is the funny reason why?
Robert said Porl left for the day, and he was wanting to get it done, and so he just did it.
Hope it was around, I'll just try it.
And then he
whatever.
said when he came in the studio the next day, he heard it, and he said, yep, that's what I would have done, and that was it.
All right, yeah.
You know,
I mean,
which sometimes you don't have to play the part to. Once again, the guy's an artist. If he sees it like there's no ego there, it's like, oh, that's what I would have done.
yeah.
Fine, that's fine. It doesn't matter. It's all about the end product, not how you get
As long
there.
as we got where we wanted to go, I don't care.
And if
what
you
the
listen,
process was.
if you listen to that version that's on, there's a couple of different live versions, but the one that's on show, the ones that it's different. It's different from the way it is on Wish, but it's to me it takes it up a notch.
What do you think about that twangy guitar business on If Only Tonight We Could Sleep?
Oh,
Do you think that's again that reference to sort of Spanish guitar and that same feel?
is that a sitar?
I don't know, but it's super twangy. I don't know.
I think it's a sitar.
Far be it from me to tell you what it is. I don't know.
I think it's a sitar.
Okay. Super twangy.
Yeah, it is very tiny.
Different.
As a guy that's really interested in exotic instruments, would that have been the same song without it? Nope. Probably not. Would have been a much different song. Was it Snake Pit? I think was another one that you know, it's got some strange sounds on it. You know,
Yeah, I didn't realize that was sitar at all.
it's a sitar. Sounds like one to me.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Sounds
it
like
really-
one.
But it's in that like deserty Arabian Nights feel, like Snake Pit is.
It plays the banjo on that album,
Shut up.
and I don't know where it's at, but I do know. I was told once there's a banjo,
There's a
on
banjo.
that record.
News to me.
You think that song is too long?
What? If Only Tonight We Could Sleep?
Yeah.
I think the intro is incessant and it goes on and on and on and on. But I think that the build-up of the intro is what makes me like the song. Because by the time he gets to it, I'm like, okay, big guy.
I think there are two kinds of people in this world. Those that like Kiss Me, and those that thought it wasn't long enough.
Yeah. I can see that. I don't mind the length of songs. I know that some people say, oh, it's an 11-minute song, when really it's a 7-minute song. But I don't mind it.
I don't think I've ever noticed that song is like 7 or 8 minutes long. And that just goes to show how if you're doing enough in the song, you won't notice that it's that long.
Yeah, it's a journey. If you're in for it, then great, you're in for it. If you're not, then go do something else.
But I remember the first time I heard that album, and you get to that part, get to that song, and you just sit there, and you're well, first off, the first song on that album is like 9 minutes long or something like that, you know? The Kiss is really long, but like, it's not really long, but then you get to that, and at first you feel like, okay, what are we doing here? What's going on? What's going on? Especially when you're like, however, 14, 15 years old, and you don't do drugs or anything like that. So you don't really have now later on in life, you know, when I was experimenting with marijuana and, you know, songs like that were like, whoa, yeah, you know, so I can see how somebody would think that that's too long of a song, especially when the next song is really fucking short, you know, and so, but I think that's the great thing about that album is that it's just all over the place, you know. So I feel like there was a need for that, you know. It was you know. All right, so Porl leaves the band again in '94, and he stays gone for a while. He comes back in 2006 or 5. He does the festival tour of '05.
Yeah.
And once again,
He officially returns.
officially,
No 5.
yeah, because
He
once
might
again,
have dabbled before that, maybe.
I think he played on.
He might have dabbled.
I think he played on, did something on the self-titled album. Don't quote me on that, because he was. I feel like he popped up every now and then. He didn't exactly go away, you know. There was that art exhibit, that traveling art exhibit that happened during those years. Sometime it was like 2003 or 2004, 2005. So, right, he had like an art exhibit that was like supposed to be like really fucking awesome, but of course we live in a part of the world that doesn't really, you know. So yeah, he leaves, comes back. He comes back in 05. And why does he come back in 05? Well, Robert didn't have a band once again.
Robert. How did we get here, Robert?
So Perry Bamonte and Roger O'Donnell leave the band. And they toured those festivals as a 4-piece. And if you've ever seen the DVD, it's awesome. The festival DVD is kick-ass. Because there's only 4 of those guys. And they're up there doing all these songs with just 2 guitars, a bass, and drums. That's it.
Yeah.
And Porl's doing all of that. He's doing everything.
Things.
You know. And so I once again, it's like, probably doesn't hurt. He's married to Robert's sister.
Yep.
Probably doesn't hurt.
He's accessible.
You know.
We'll give him that.
You know. Probably doesn't hurt, but what else was he doing at the time? Just wrap up a big project. You know. He's feeling pretty good. Go back out on tour with The Cure. Except this time he stays. Just like last time. And he plays on 413 Dream.
Yep.
Which is actually, I people don't like that record.
People don't like that record.
I don't know. I don't understand why. I like it. I mean,
I do too. No, there are people that will disagree.
Once again, only guitar. There's a lot of cool guitar stuff on that album. A lot of big washes of sound. It's a loud album.
Yeah, it is a loud album, and that's okay.
Actually, I think it says that I'll have to dig out the vinyl. It says that in the groove on the vinyl.
The transition between The Real Snow White and The Hungry Ghost is one of my all-time favorite transitions between songs. I don't know what it is about that. And I'm not a person who is versed enough in guitar to tell you what's going on, but it's incredible.
There was a guy on this vinyl forum on Facebook that I look at all the time. He said, he posted, because you're supposed to post what you're listening to. He posted that album. And someone made a comment, not their best. And that was it. And then the guy replied, yeah, but for The Cure, not their best is still pretty damn good.
Still better than a bunch of other stuff.
You know, and I'm just like, yeah, you're right. Like, is it their best record? No, nobody's saying that, you know.
But it's something different.
But we don't put out an album for however many years, you know, and you come back with that. I mean, most young bands can't put together an album like that, you know. But it also, to me, it just says that The Cure is going to be The Cure, and they're going to sound like The Cure, and they're just and that's it. Like, it sounds like The Cure. If it didn't sound like Cure, then you'd be really pissed off, you know. But I feel like, you know, but when you just toured the world as a 4-piece, playing these loud rock shows as a 4-piece, intentionally cranking your amps up to make up for the lack of members in the band, you're going to make an album like that.
Yeah. And the production was different.
Very different, yeah. I mean, but you know, I heard somebody once refer to it as shoegaze goth, and I was like, what's wrong with that?
Nothing.
What's wrong with that? Nothing.
People hate on it, but I don't hate it.
You know, and the songs, and apparently there's like a whole other record of songs that didn't make it onto the album.
I want that.
Yeah, I want that too. But this guy leaves and he comes back, and here he's back again. And he does that tour, but then he leaves again. He moves to like what, Buenos Aires or some shit. He moved to like South America or whatever.
Oh, I thought he went to the desert.
Or yeah, he went somewhere.
Somewhere in the desert.
Yeah, he went somewhere, and I remember for years I wanted to buy one of his paintings or one of his like China sculpture things, except they were like 2,000 like American dollars, you know. And then he did like a fire sale on his like tiny paintings.
Yeah, he does these little itty bitty things.
And he did a fire sale on them. So it would have been like, I don't know, 40 American dollars or whatever for it, and they sold out like that. Like, I mean, they were gone quickly, you know. But I think it's once again, why would you leave the group again for the third time? Why would you do it again for the third time?
Because you were called to the desert.
You know.
Because you're an artist and a free spirit, and you were called to the desert.
And I would not be surprised if he showed up again.
Right. But where would that leave Reeves? Because Reeves is the guitar virtuoso in the group now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, having two powerhouses could either be disastrous.
How do you top David Bowie's guitarist?
Incredible. I don't know. You know, they're both really talented.
Yeah.
But I've heard Reeves say something to the extent of, the songs are incredible and you learn to make them your own, so he's definitely added his own twist and his own twang and his own nuances to it, and I don't know if that would work with Pearl or not. I guess we'll see.
I think if you put the two of them on stage together, there would definitely be something really, really awesome.
Yeah, we'd all go deaf.
You'd have one person playing the parts and one person playing the parts between the parts. I think that's why I liked the six person version of the band the most, is because they were doing they weren't just recreating the albums, they were doing more.
Right.
And I think the two of them, without a keyboard player, you wouldn't need a keyboard player if you had
You
the two.
wouldn't, right? That was my next question.
You would not need a keyboard
What does
player.
that do to Roger? Does that leave Roger out of the equation? Can we add him back as another level? Because it's all just different levels and different, I don't know, layers, I guess is what I mean.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And
that's why we love them, is we love them for the washes and we love them for the layers and the complexity of everything. Huh.
you know.
There are some people who say that they were best as a three.
Yeah, I think that's weird.
Ugh,
Some of the guys I played in Love Cats with
really
had
into
been
that
known to say that.
three-piece.
Had been known to say that.
Yeah.
That Three Imaginary
Strip
Boys was the
down.
best album.
Strip down.
And I'm like, how can you say that when there's like another 30 years of shit after that? Like, you know, like,
All of the magic, all of the layers.
you know, I've never understood that, you know. But, you know, I it's just like the whole, like, they still haven't lost that punk mentality.
Right.
It's like, you know, it's still rooted in punk rock.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sad bastard punk rock, but who, you know,
It's okay.
it's still rooted in that, you know.
That's
Let's
why
be
I don't
defiant.
understand why people are mad at 413 Dream and the self-titled album, because they feel more like a revisitation to that punk. Like, I have something to say, and I'm going to use this medium to say it, and I'm a little pissed off about it, so here you go. You know, there's talk about we have too much technology and not enough human connection. There's so much of that in the last two albums. And what's wrong with saying that? Why are people so annoyed that Robert isn't telling some story that he's not a part of?
You guys want another round?
Yes.
Yeah. Y'all still okay?
He's
Good
I
viewers.
mean, the problem,
Good listeners.
I don't think, the thing that I think a lot of listeners missed about that album was that it was very relevant for the time. It was 2008. It was very, very relevant for the time.
Still relevant.
But the thing is that somebody, like a friend of mine I used to work with at Weiser, he said it's not so much that it's relevant, is that they should be relevant to the future and not the current state. And I was like, well, no, that's not. The Cure was never about that.
No.
The Cure was always about like, okay, this is what I'm into. This is what I'm into now.
Yeah,
and Robert listens to a lot of current music anyway, so it's like, this is what I'm into, so this is just what I'm doing. But no matter what he does, it still sounds like The Cure.
Well, yeah.
You know,
it's always going to sound like that.
And so, but relevance to me should be more like, no, all the other bands should be looking at that record and nothing else around it. Like it's not defining a time period, because in 2000, I mean, let's say it's 2008. Every genre, disco made a comeback by that time. Okay?
Shit got squirrely.
Yeah,
okay?
so
just,
I mean,
it got squirrely. Okay.
You know, but
Give us a break.
you know, but it's relevant in a time period because it exists in a time where that sound was coming back and it was big, you know. And what's wrong with The Cure saying, okay, we'll do that, and we'll just turn the volume up a little bit
Right.
more.
Let me show you. I can do that too.
I got a phaser pedal. Here you go.
I know.
You know, like.
That's what he did when people said, "Oh, you can't do pop," and he was like, "Watch me do pop. Hold on, here I go.
Here I go.
Want to see? I can do pop.
I got a 6-string bass, motherfucker.
Give me a challenge. Here I come." I don't know. We all stare at our phones and don't interact with people, so I don't think that there's anything wrong with that album being pissed off about it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that being
That's an angry album too. So.
a critique of where we are socially. I don't think that Robert would be the type that wouldn't make those critiques. We've seen stickers on his guitar that say, you know, citizens, not subjects. We've seen it. His guitar at one point said some crazy shit about my body, my rights, and I was like, yeah,
you go.
Dude, but all right, damn it, I feel you on that. So I think that he, though never outwardly politically aligns, I think he definitely has shit to say. And he says it in his own little way.
I think he's one of those dudes that says things in kind of a smart-ass kind
Like
of way.
a subversive, smart-ass way. Yeah. And that's fine.
It's such a tiny statement, but it burns pretty deep.
Slide it in
Yeah.
there. It's gonna not be pleasant, but there you go.
You know. And you never know. I mean, maybe, you know, like we just said, Porl left. He left the country and moved to the desert. I think he went to North Africa. He went to South
I don't know if it was
America.
Mexico or if it was just Southern California or somewhere to be the fuck alone.
Yeah. He left and he went somewhere, and I often wonder, you know, that was like 2010 or something, you know. I often wonder, considering everything that has been going on in England and considering the shift in power and everything, I'm not surprised that anybody would have left the country at the time. I mean, Elvis Costello has said he is not a citizen here. He's a permanent resident, you know, but explains that all the reasons that he left England are currently happening in our country right now. And he says he feels like he can't go anywhere. He has an American wife, so he's got to stay put, poor bastard. But like, you know, but you know, Johnny Marr lived here for like 5-6 years, and you know, he said he was happy to move back to England, but that he said he went back at a terrible time. And like that's when he was in Modest Mouse for several years. And you didn't know that? Oh yeah.
What?
Yeah, he was in Modest Mouse from like.
Fun facts. The
Yeah,
more
I
you
know.
know.
Yeah. So Porl leaving England is not a shock
No,
to me.
and Lowell left long ago and never turned back. He
yes.
was like, bye.
Yeah.
See ya. No thanks. Not
He left in
coming
the
back.
90s.
Not interested in what you guys are up to. Bye-bye.
From that time period, it reminds him of living in England and all this stuff. It reminds him of you know, of all this crap. But then he also said, "But I could never go back
Right.
because I don't want to be like that." Because I'm not a political guy. But look at what your heroes are doing. Look at what they've been through.
Yeah.
Look and then tell me we don't live in a great country. Because
Yeah, I mean-
because compared to what they've been through,
Austerity is the reason they
compared
exist, right?
to what they've been. These guys came from nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Living in Crawley, post-war England,
Nothing.
was shit.
Austerity, nothing.
It was fucking shit.
They had nothing.
The Sex
Was
Pistols,
holding
the
up.
Sex Pistols were right when they said there was absolutely no. I mean, Margaret fucking Thatcher. I mean, give me a break. Like, there was no. The guys in Joy Division, the guys in the Smiths, they had no future. They bet their lives on their art.
Yep.
And for these guys to say, oh, I left England and I'm not going back, that should tell you something. Manchester in the 70s was a fucking demilitarized zone. I mean, it still looks like, I mean, they had not recovered from the war. And I've been told there are parts of that country that's
Remain.
recovery is one thing, but it just you know, there's a lot of hardship, and it's all brought on by the war. And you know, so Porl Thompson probably wants to change his name because he doesn't want to identify as English Porl Thompson, and
Yeah.
Pearl makes him a different person.
Maybe so.
Although, and I'm not here to talk about anyone's sexuality, but like there are those rumors that he's now a woman.
Well, that's identity more than it is sexuality. That's gender identity.
Well, it could be both.
Well, I mean, it could change your.
It could change it, yeah.
Because it would
Well, I always say-
label you as, lesbian if you
Right.
were lady leaning.
I think it's interesting that people are saying that and have no real basis for it.
Yeah, I don't
Because
know.
the guy's always been a little androgynous anyway.
Right,
you know,
right. And I think that makes it a bit tricky for people to sort of like, oh, do I read into this or do I not? Or
But-
him and hawing about it.
Yeah, but going from Porl to Pearl sounds like a natural name change to me.
Yeah, and if for an artist, you wouldn't be surprised. of a
And I
name
found out that he and Robert's sister, they divorced, but they divorced long ago, but stayed together.
Oh, because I was the one that told you they divorced. Because
Right.
somebody told me on some forum somewhere.
Yeah, I found out
was
that
like,
they divorced, but they stayed together, and that's kind of a common thing. That's kind of a common thing around there. As an artist, as somebody who's an artist who needs to move on and do his thing, you go where the inspiration is, you go where the money is, you go where you can be alone and think.
yeah,
You go.
where you're led.
I mean, this guy, like I said, when he sells his shit online, he puts it up and it's gone. But he doesn't just put up like 4 pennies. He puts up like tons and tons of stuff, and it's gone. And I'm actually surprised he's not making music.
Right, because you would think that would be consumed just as readily.
Yeah.
Given how talented.
I think he was always more of an avant-garde kind of a composer, I mean, I think Kiss Me is a representation of that. Definitely a representation of that.
Yeah.
He was more of an
little
avant-garde composer.
Challenger of status
So
quo.
I'm honestly surprised he's not doing like wacky
Some solo stuff.
tribal music or something,
Drum
or-
circles, I can see that, yeah.
I mean, the guy looks like a freaking gothic hippie. I mean, like,
The look is interesting. I don't know if those are actual tattoos on the head and
he looks like the dude from the Prodigy.
I'm not sure if that was drawn on or if that's there. Far be it for me to judge.
Nobody's judging. But I think it's funny. I would say it's funny. But I hate the way though that the conversation on some of those forums immediately shift to, oh, he's a woman now. And I'm like, does it matter?
It doesn't.
Does it matter?
No.
I mean, like,
No.
no.
As long as it's not offensive to Pearl as a person, like, that would be my only hiccup is this offensive to you as a person, but not knowing Pearl, I couldn't say that. And I don't think any of those people on the forum could either.
He sold a bunch of his gear on his website, and it was to go to some art collective charity thing. I don't know what but his like amplifier, it was all like painted,
Beat to hell and painted.
and then it was all painted up and everything, and I mean it sold for like $10,000, like, and And then he had another one on there, and it wasn't painted. It says I'll ship this to you as is, but I'll paint it if you want. And I would have been like, I'll throw down the extra money to have you paint it. He sold some of his guitars and did the same thing. He sanded all the paint off of them and repainted them. And like.
Didn't Schecter do a couple of Porl inspired?
Yes, they did. They did a few of them. He played them on that tour. And it looks a cool looking guitar. Like,
It's a little weird, right? It's a little unusual.
But it's I think it's one of those. It's meant to sort of cover all the bases. Like it looks cool and it sounds awesome at the same time. Just how most signature guitars are. But I wouldn't. I'm wondering if he's retired from music. I'm wondering if he's retired, but I still hold out hope that he's not, because I mean, of all the people that came and went from that band, I think he was by far the bigger,
the most influential of the transcendent folks.
I mean, you gotta think, you went to go from Kiss Me to Disintegration. That's a huge leap.
That's a massive leap.
It's a massive leap.
Yeah.
And I know that was done collectively as a group. It was done collectively as a group. Well, except for one member, but everybody was into that and felt that they did, their best. They couldn't do any better. So to go from that album to go from Kiss Me to Disintegration, that just, he's not bound to one thing, He's not bound to one thing, because Disintegration is a little less avant-garde than Kiss Me, and it's a little more ethereal pop than anything.
It's a little more cohesive in its etherealness.
A lot of those things that Porl's doing on that album are very tame, but for the guy to say that's the masterpiece, for him to say that, for him to stand by that and actually be happy with it, just goes to show that the dude's versatile as fuck. Versatile.
Well, that's how you can go from being in the band to not being in the band to being back in the band to not being in the band to being back in the band again, is that you're versatile enough to keep up with all the changes that the band has made throughout the years.
And I had heard once that they knew he was leaving the group after the Wish tour. So maybe that's why those shows were very intense. If I ask anybody who saw them from 91 to 93, the shows were very intense. So I didn't see them, but you watch the VHS and you're like, shit, that's why I always say that 92 is when they were at their best, because when you made
the most stakes.
Well, you make all those records is the pinnacle of those four, those three albums. Then you have the Wish album, and so it's like it's the pinnacle of all that. Music was changing at the time, and maybe that's why Pearl moved on. Music was changing. 1994 was a 93, 94. Those are big years. The Cure was now considered to be, 80s,
Old men. Is that where they become old men?
Yeah, were they considered old men by that? But no, but they were different, considering what was big at the time. Pearl Jam and Nirvana.
Grunge. We've moved on, and now we're into grunge.
It's strange, all those bands worshipped the Cure.
Yeah, they did.
All those bands did.
Couldn't have gotten there without them.
All those bands did.
Yeah.
That's what's so funny is that people are like, oh, well, the Cure kind of died off because of grunge. I'm like, no, they contributed to it.
Created grunge.
They
Grunge wouldn't have existed without the process they went through.
Name a band from the 90s that talks shit about the Cure.
No. I don't think so.
Except for Henry Rollins.
Yeah, that guy. Who cares about that guy?
He has a really funny story about...
Morrissey, that guy. Who cares about that guy? He's not from the 90s,
Henry Rollins has a funny story about opening for The Cure, and it has nothing to do with The Cure.
Did he get peed on by Lowell?
No, he was trying to outdo Iggy Pop.
What? What does that
And
even mean?
Iggy Pop ended up trashing The Cure's stage setup.
Just like, because he was intoxicated, or he just went in there
And he said that Robert Smith and the rest of the group were backstage just dying laughing during the whole thing. Like, yeah, like, because they said like the Cure had these huge potted plants set up to look like a forest or something, and Iggy Pop was just like throwing them from one side of
tossing plants around.
like. So it's so funny is that it's like it's a story about The Cure that has almost nothing to do with The Cure. You know?
He looks like this hysterical little fiend running rampant with plants over his head.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think Porl Thompson is by far the to reiterate, he's awesome because of his contributions.
Maybe we'll see more.
Do you have a favorite guitar moment that Porl has bestowed upon us?
Ugh. No. You tell me yours, and then I'll see if I'm in the right time frame, because you're much better at time than I am. Time is very weird for me.
See, the other thing about him is that he gets a rap as a lead guitarist, but in many ways he's not necessarily the lead guitarist.
Well, I think that he can play lead-like in the spaces in between.
What's his name? Reeves said that some of the best guitar lines of Porl's were the ones that were like strictly textural, like, and
Atmospheric.
he used the song Disintegration as an example. Now it's got these little things with the delay pedal, but they're kind of like, you know,
Washes and waves.
right, exactly, and that's why I've always kind of thought, like, if that dude was ever going to go play in another band, he could go be in My Bloody Valentine
Yeah,
or something.
for sure.
Because yes, he does these really. The Cure was never about solos anyway, you know. It was never about a solo anyway, but it was always about like creating the experience.
Atmosphere. It's all atmosphere.
Like, you know, it's always about this. Listeners, if you can see what I'm doing with my hands.
It's very washy over the face. Twinkle fingers. Listeners.
Spirit fingers.
Yes.
Spirit fingers. Like, I don't classify him as a lead guitar player, but he kind of gets that rap because of what he does. You know, like, you know what I mean? Like, he's the only guy in the band I think could ever play the walk on the guitar.
Interesting. I mean, if you can play with the likes of Jimmy Page, one imagines
Yes.
that you get a bad rap as being an awesome guitarist and maybe a little bit of a showman
Yeah.
or show person or whatever.
What was it with Jimmy Page? I forgot about that.
I think when they did the Page and Plant thing, right? I know that it was like 94, right?
Because I saw Page and Plant in 98.
I knew that you saw them.
Yeah, it was in 98. October 1st, to be exact.
I believe that.
It was the last night. It was the last show of the tour.
No pressure there.
Last show of the tour. It was awesome. The No Quarter Unleaded tour, and he did the one after that. But he did not do the
one you saw?
The one I saw. No.
Oh.
Yeah, no, he did not. But Zach Starkey was the drummer on that tour. It's Ringo's son.
Got it.
He was in Oasis for a little while too. Yeah. It all comes back around. To see it all. It all comes. See it.
It's all circular.
Everybody knows each other. Everybody.
Sure.
It's all incestuous.
Oh, the music industry.
It's all incestuous.
Prior to this last year.
Reeves lives in Nashville.
Nashville, I know. I have
I went and saw
the guy
his
that
band.
fixed my guitar tells me, oh, I got a friend who's a friend of the guy, and I'm like, shut up. Just introduce me to the guy.
I went and saw his band. It's
in the imaginary, his
pretty
imaginary
cool.
friends.
It's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
It's very proggy.
Is it very prog rocky?
Yeah, it's
Wandering
very proggy,
shenanigans,
yes.
like I thought it would be.
But like,
That makes sense.
but you know, he was a nice guy. Yeah, I didn't really like geek out on him because it was kind of like you don't want to walk up to him and say,
Yeah, you do.
"So, what's Bowie like?"
No, you totally do.
You know,
Hey, you work with two of my most
you know, I didn't want to like.
dreamed about artists in the world. Like,
But there used to be this place in Nashville called the Family Wash, and it's unfortunately closed. And they moved into a bigger building, and they ended up. Oh, what the fuck? It was a great place. I loved it. They used to have all kinds of music there, and that was like his. He frequent. That was his. Yes, that was his place. Yeah.
his
And,
haunt.
But yeah, he was just really. He taught guitar lessons at a place called Rock Block.
Oh my
That's.
God.
But he was expensive though.
I bet he was.
He was expensive,
Jeez.
you know. But he and he was one of those you taught you what he wanted to teach you.
You
Not,
do it his way.
yeah, do it his way. He also taught classes in guitar pedals and amps and stuff. There are people in this world who don't know how to deal with that kind of stuff, and he taught like a. From what I understand, he would teach like a 3-hour course on a Saturday about how to set up your gear, where to place your pedals, and he would go through them all and
Some of us need that.
like yes,
Some of us need that.
he's a dude that lives for the craft, you know, lives for the craft, which is why I thought it was just the best. That was like the best replacement for anybody.
Yeah,
but they'd
right?
worked together in the past anyway, so I mean,
Yeah. I can see if you're going to try to replace Porl, not even necessarily like replace Porl, but also introduce a guitarist who is talented in a way that Porl is, you have to go big or go home. And Reeves seems to fit the bill.
Reeves had to learn 40 songs in like 10 days.
No big deal.
He got the call. The Cure had a bunch of festivals that year. I think it was like 2012. I don't remember what year it was. But he said he had to learn like 40 songs in a week.
Well, if anyone was up to the task, I guess it was our friend Reeves.
Yeah, but that guy could play anything.
Yeah.
That guy could play anything.
Yeah. I'm sticking to my previous. The transition between the Real Snow White and the Hungry Ghost is probably my favorite.
That is, yeah.
I don't know what it is. There's just something about that. I can listen to that over and over and over again.
There's some amazing things.
I don't know
on that album.
what they do. I couldn't tell you from a technical standpoint, but it's incredible. And the Hungry Ghost, the guitar part is simple. If it's simple enough for me to do it, it's simple. But it's poignant and it's big and it's bold, and I like it because it's weird.
But like, I still think that like his contributions to like Head on the Door, like you know, like the song Push, or the
All of that guitar is him.
yeah,
All that beginning
Baby Screams,
guitar is him.
the stuff that he does on that.
Y'all still doing okay?
Yes, I mean, I think that his small contributions on Head on the Door that led to the bigger ones on the next record.
Yeah.
Because most of the songs were already written anyway by the time he came back, you know. So, but like it's the little things, you know. It's like Push, Baby Screams,
Happy holidays.
Thank you so much,
y'all.
and then the multitude of other things that were done, you know. So I have a hard time nailing down like one specific guitar thing, you know.
But you asked me to do it.
What?
You asked me to do it.
Okay, well then I'd have to say there's just so much. Like I said, there's just so much good shit. You know, but the solo on Doing the Unstruck, it's great.
And stuff, yeah.
It's great. It's a good little piece. You know.
Did he do all the guitar work on the Disintegration album?
Yeah, I think he played most of it. Yeah.
Is there anything from there that strikes you as just like incredible?
I'd have to agree with Reeves and say that all of the textural atmospheric shit that's on the title song is
Disintegration is one of my favorite songs.
it really makes the song.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of paying attention to, like, get the drums and the bass line.
And the journey that we're going on with the craziness that he's talking about.
Those those two things are what pushes the song, but then he kind of takes care of everything else on the outskirts. Because you're paying attention to the words and you're paying attention to that bass line.
Yeah.
And then
Like, what are we talking about?
And you're moving, but everything that's going on around it.
That you're not paying attention to.
But
The
somehow
song wouldn't be the same.
it's like a
without
double
all that
helix.
stuff.
Eventually, it comes in, converges, and you hear that one little part, and then it goes away, and then it comes back. I mean, you talk about an album. Talk about layers. That album's layered as fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, you cannot like.
Can't escape that.
I bet if we busted out the multi-track, there's probably all kinds of stuff that cannot be heard.
Yeah, that's going on.
That's
in
going
the
on.
background.
But it's like I've always said about the science behind sound is that it takes inaudible noises to make audible noises, and so I mean it just
Some quantum physics shenanigans.
there's some physics shit.
You're breaking my brain.
Breaking your brain.
Breaking my brain.
You look at waves all day long.
I look at brain waves and nerves. I don't look at music, but I'm gonna have to start trying.
But sound waves you need. Sound waves are created by complex harmonics, and it takes inaudible frequencies to hear, combined with audible ones to create a certain sound.
And the beauty of Disintegration is that if you listen to it for 1,000 years like I have, and you have, there will be days where you're like, what the hell is that noise? I never heard that noise before.
I think sometimes that also has a lot, because I still have, I have the CD, the first version, and I've got the remaster, and then sometimes I don't remember which folder they're in on my computer, and I'll end up listening to one
Over the
other, and then I think, but I do think it's like we're not talking night and day, but
just nuance.
there are things that you can hear in the original master that you can't hear in the remaster, and the things you can hear in the remaster that you can't hear in the original master, and I think that's why like my friend Kelly hates the remaster, and
You still hear the whisper. The magical whisper.
You can actually hear it better in the
In the
remaster.
remaster.
You can actually hear it better. Yeah, I mean, I know, but like, but that there was this, like I said, there's so much going on, and I'm sure like he wasn't even just playing guitar on that record. He probably did a lot of the synthesizers.
I thought that there were some strange things about crediting on that album. Is that the one where they said that Lowell was just like standing in the corner, drunk as hell, but we gave him some credit for some stuff?
Yeah.
Bless
I think
him.
he really only played one song.
It was a bad time for Lowell.
It was a very bad time for that guy.
Bless him. I'm glad that he's moved on. Life's better.
Yeah.
Good.
But it's interesting though because like the if you read the liner notes on the special Disintegration special edition, Robert Smith says that they sat in the control room and listened to the whole album after they were done with it,
Start to finish.
and they were all shaking each other's hand, patting each other on the back, and very proud of each other. And this that Lowell the entire time was just like off in space, and said, "Yeah, it's fine." Like he said he had no emotion.
Well, maybe his emotions were just
Over
gone. They were just gone for the moment.
Right, but like it's sad though that guy was asleep during the best part of that band.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of sad.
It's a statement.
It really is, and that's why I think that's why I have this sneaky feeling that all the keyboards were played by either Porl or Robert, and by that time they had hired Roger O'Donnell anyway. But
Are y'all gonna need another server for another beer? Y'all may get someone to check on y'all in a little bit. Okay.
they had already hired Roger for the tour, and so I mean, maybe thinking they were going to fire him or something. I don't know. I
Maybe he
mean,
would just like give up eventually.
yeah. but like, if you listen to that, I also talk about like, just contributions. You listen to the Wembley, they put the entire Wembley concert on the Disintegration remaster. I mean, talk about a loud band. They played the whole record from top to bottom, and it just screams. Like it's big.
Good.
Should be. It's a. And that's why I think that like I've always, if you, I don't know if it says it on the CD or not. It says it on the LP. If you open up the inside, it says it tells you have to play the album loud. It tells you on the inside of the vinyl, and like I have an original pressing of Disintegration that I paid way too much money for. I paid way too much money for it because it's a UK pressing. It never came out on vinyl in the US because CDs were really big. CDs and cassettes were and people probably still buy. Anyway, I paid way too much money for it, considering that it was re-released and everything. It says to play the album loud,
so you can hear it.
You can hear every. Yeah, I guess that's it too.
And even then, you're gonna miss some of it, and you're gonna pick it up the next time you listen to it.
It's kind of funny you say that because I just said that the dude should have been in My Bloody Valentine, and it's funny because Kevin Shows in My Bloody Valentine said that the reason why they play it at such a massive volume, the reason why the albums need to be listened to at massive volume is because you can't hear everything. He says that like it's the way your brainwave. This is why Kevin Shields is fucking weird.
Yeah.
Your brainwaves perceive sound in a certain way, and he says once you hit a certain wavelength, 1 point something hertz or whatever, he says you enter a trance state, and he says, and that's because it's a sensory overload, and the only way you're going to be able to handle something handle what's going on is if your mind goes into
kind of like default, kind of like autopilot.
And I think that's kind of why, like I said, the guy probably should have been in a shoegaze band.
Probably.
He probably should have been in a shoegaze band. And maybe that's why people over the years have told me they lumped The Cure into that.
Into shoegaze.
Yeah.
For sure.
And because I often wonder, like, what album are you listening to? And now it just didn't dawn on me. Now I'm like, oh no, they're listening to Disintegration at high volume. I'm like, Disintegration at high volume sounds like My Bloody Valentine. Like,
Sure.
I mean, a precursor to My Bloody Valentine.
Well, yeah, I think
I
that's
do know
how
that,
My Bloody Valentine got to where they are.
And I do know that at least half the
a
members of The Cure worshipped My Bloody Valentine, and everyone in My Bloody Valentine worshipped The Cure.
Right,
so,
right,
yeah. Simon Gallup talked about the Loveless documentary. He was on the Loveless documentary. He talked about how great the album was and all this shit, and I was like, I'm not surprised that you're saying that.
Look at my shocked face. Look at it.
I'm not surprised.
It's not there.
Everything's incestuous. Everything comes back around.
And that's okay. It's great.
I think it's safe to say that Porl is the most important member of The Cure. It was during
outside of Robert.
Outside of Robert, yeah.
And we need Simon.
Yeah, that's another dude.
We need Simon. That's a whole different conversation.
That's another dude.
Bass lines out of where? Where did those come from? Explain.
I was
extraterrestrial Simon.
I was watching this thing with Kevin from the band of Montreal, and Kevin was saying that how he loves The Cure, and he says, but the thing he loves the most, he says, I like these bass lines.
Simon Gallup makes basses look like fucking beasts.
Kevin said,
period.
Bass lines. He said that you have a bass line that does one thing, and it's driving the song, and then the next part is just as complicated and just as.
But it's harmonic and it's hidden.
And
you can be like.
But it continues to drive the song.
I don't notice.
He says He says it took him a long time to figure out how do you change the bass line in mid song and not not lose the groove. Well, Simon Gallup can do
You just do.
that.
If you're Simon Gallup, you just do.
But if you listen to those early Cure records that he's on, well, 17 Seconds, Faith, and Pornography.
Yes.
The bass lines are really simple,
But,
and they're real hypnotic,
yes.
but it works for what they were doing.
Yeah.
And then Head on the Door, he skipped an album. And Head on the Door, he does that, only just kicked it up a notch.
Yeah, we got a little fancier.
Instead of playing one bass line, he's
Got a
playing
little crazy.
three.
Got a little crazy.
Yeah.
We amped it up. Because we're fancy.
I've always wanted to know what happened between the two of them.
Didn't they get in a fist fight over a bar tab? I mean,
It's
other
deeper
than that, I'm sure
it's
that's
deeper than that.
very
Lowell's
shallow
never.
way of
Lowell's,
looking at it.
he says he's still to this day not sure what happened.
Something.
As he said, he had his own problems with Robert, and then he wasn't aware that Simon was having.
Something. But they got over it, and they're okay now.
But it's funny because when they did, I mean, their little squabble only lasted 2 years.
Yeah, they got over it. They had their little bit,
But
their little fight.
when they did the trilogy shows, Robert said the problem with performing Pornography straight through, because they did the 2 warm-up shows in Belgium, and then they did the 2
The
actual
legit.
shows. He said they didn't do any more than that. And when the interviewer said, why? And he says, because if I had to play Pornography all the way through any more than that, Simon and I probably would have like had a fight backstage. And he explains. He says that that shit had been dealt with years ago. He said, but when you're revisiting that time period,
You get those feelings back.
a time period that neither of you are really that thrilled about,
You get those feelings back.
and it's fun. I think it's funny that over the years that he's continued to highlight that album.
Pornography.
Yeah, at least 3 of those songs always make their way into the set. They always do 100 years.
They always do, yeah.
But I feel like there's a few in there that he avoids like play.
Like which one?
I think the song Pornography.
You think so?
Yeah.
Is it because it's so rambling?
Yeah, that
Because
too.
I feel like Pornography is kind of a rambling song.
But I think it's also very it's
Or is it too hypnotic? It's too
That too.
creepy,
It's just-
Hitchcocky. It's weird. It's a weird song.
it kind of
The
just
backwards tape loop and
Yeah.
all that shit, it gets real weird real fast. You're like, wait, what?
So they still play strange. Short-term effects is another one.
I only
he
noticed
avoids.
Simon's rage during Love Cats because he obviously hates Love Cats. Simon Gallup makes bass guitarists look good. Period.
Makes them look what?
They look good.
Yeah.
He makes bass players look good. He jumps around, he bounces around, he is hypnotic to watch. But you put Love Cats on and he is stagnant and he hates everything. Watch it on YouTube. It's the funniest damn thing you'll ever see. He's like, oh, I hate this song. Oh my god. Why am I playing this song?
I also think it's part of where they're from too, because you got to think that
Is it the time? Is it that he's revisiting a time period where he's like, I'm pissed off? Or does he just
Well, no,
really like
I
that
just
song?
I just think that like
a good bass line.
the style of having the bass be the lead
Is
instrument.
it too wacky, too French, too stand-up bass? Like what?
Maybe, yeah.
What?
But you gotta remember, he wasn't in the band when they made that song.
He's
So
not into it. He's not into it.
I forget who the bass player was. Oh, Phil Thornley was the bass player at the time.
Just throw you in. Play the stand-up bass. It'll be fine.
Phil Thornley.
Doesn't Lowell do it a couple of times on
predict-
top of the pops? Pretend
Yeah.
he's like, I got this. Hold on.
I always felt like Simon had a lot of rage.
I could see Simon with some rage.
And they said that like of all the things that was going on at the time, the things that the 3 of them were experiencing personally and then as a group, like
A little tricky to navigate.
Lowell was into a lot of drugs. Robert was drinking and in a deep depression,
Right.
And Simon was drinking and in a rage.
But like Noel was in a I'm not here right now. Robert was in
their way. Isn't it weird? They all had their ways of dealing.
I'm sort of psychedelic, and Simon was just I'm pissed. Yeah, they all had their different ways of processing through that shit.
That's really weird.
Is it?
Like it's in such a way that like it came to a
That it came to a head like that?
yeah, like
It
that
came to a boiling point
that they held it together long enough, you know.
until they didn't.
I mean, I have the show, and I think you can find it on the internet. I have that last concert they ever performed, and it's kind of intense. Like it's kind of intense.
A little too much.
Yeah, I mean, but like, Lowell's book said that they went out every night, like thinking it was going to be the last show. That everything was going to boil over, like it was going to be the last show.
This is it. This is the end.
You know, they're just, and then it was that, and they said they would talk to the support band. It was like a band called Zero One, and they said that they haven't had a thing worked out with them that like, well, if we don't show up, you're going to have to, you know,
On the
I mean,
day that we don't
like
show up,
if this
just
doesn't,
know you have to perform the whole set. Good luck.
like.
Don't fucking know.
It's so weird to even think about that. It's really intense and really. Even when you listen to those three albums back to back, like I don't know, there's something really
Pornography, faith.
in 17 seconds. There's something really.
There's a lot. In there.
It's heavy, but it doesn't feel right either. Like it feels kind of like
Too chaotic.
Even like Faith is a real like it's a downer. The entire album. How a record like that ever sold, I don't know. No clue.
People love it.
Like,
People love it. They'll talk shit.
I'm not talking shit. I'm just saying that
These
like
old schoolers who get mad at us.
I'm talking about the time period.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about the time period.
It was a bit much.
If that came out today, it would be different. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, but I have to also remind myself they were. That sound that was big in Europe at the time. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
and again, they were children of that like austerity.
Yeah.
They didn't have anything else. That's where they were.
you know, New Order was new at the time, 81. New Order was brand new. You know, and all that. You know, the Smiths would come a couple years later, but like they, you know. It's interesting. It's interesting that an album like Faith could be like, you know, a top 20 album, you know. And
All Cats Are Gray is not it's not catchy. You don't jam out to All Cats Are
No,
Gray.
you don't. No, you don't. No, but I really like the song Faith.
Yeah.
I really
You don't
like
jam
it.
out to it.
Yeah.
It's not that type.
I'm trying to beat up.
It's getting rowdy in here.
It's about to go.
Sparkly boots.
Sparkly.
It's getting rowdy. I don't know what's going on. There's a lot of hand shaking.
It's kind of weird.
Told you it was weird in here. Welcome to Memphis. This shit is weird.
All right, thank you so much, Kelly and Bella. So great to hear from both of you guys again, and to hear such a in-depth, long conversation covering so much. But that focus of Porl, gotta love. So many great guitar parts. While I was editing and listening to this, trying to listen and think of what my favorite Porl guitar part is, and it really is hard to pinpoint because it's kind of just that overall sound, and you never really know what he came up with as far as writing wise, but just the execution of, I think it's got to be somewhere around Kiss Me or the stuff on Wish. Even the song is like straightforward and goofy. His Friday I'm in Love. I mean, he really takes a great approach to that lead part on that and really just nails it. And I know something like End that we're playing right now, I think that's kind of where he shines too, is just that kind of awesome like wall of sound mixed in with just technicality that you can kind of always sort out the Robert parts a bit. That's why I want to say something on Disintegration, but I feel like a lot of those feel in the style of Robert a bit more, and he kind of just nailed the parts. So I feel like there was a little bit more added style-wise and stuff on Kiss Me and Wish. So take your pick, any of the ones on those, but too many to count. And just overall presence, there's got to be something to it when you just look at Porl's timeline and when he was in the band. And I'm sure a lot of it was luck, but at the same time, those songs are so good for a reason, and maybe there's more to that than we think. And I'd feel a little weird if I didn't address it, but after all the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony business, there was a strange tweet from Pearl, and it seemed like everything had gone really well. It was really nice to see all the ex-Cures up there together, and to see Pearl, and to see, everyone acting at least somewhat civil. We don't know the dynamic of these guys or what their relationships are, but at the same time, we want to hope that maybe they're all cool and with each other, and not thinking back on the past is a negative thing, but and maybe they are, we don't know. But there was a strange tweet from Pearl, of all people, that said they called the current lineup a Hall of Fame tribute band, and said if only you knew the shade of it all. And that was a little strange, I thought, but at the same time, who knows? It had a hashtag disrespect, and if only the fans know when the music is real, it said. So, like I said, we don't know the dynamic, but it was a little sad because it was the only kind of negative light that was shown on the whole event, and it seems like everybody otherwise was really, really nice to see them all together. But, like I said, we don't know the dynamic, but hopefully, it seems like it was taken down from Instagram at least, so I don't know. And we will maybe never know the whole story, but I wasn't expecting Pearl to be the one that was a little upset about something. Maybe Pearl really wanted to perform, so hard to say. But I don't know. Like I said, we don't have any concrete evidence, and basically all we could do is look at the body of work in the past and still just say, praise to you, Pearl, and we hope everybody out there could share in the love. So go put on some of the Pearl era recordings and check out some of the artwork. We'll try to put some links to Pearl's art out there on our Facebook page, so go check that out, and subscribe on iTunes so you don't miss any of the upcoming episodes of the Holy Hour. We're also on Spotify and Stitcher and Google Play, apparently. So if that's your preferred outlet for podcasting, go check us out there. Should have all the past year episodes there. All the oldies, they're piling up fast. We're getting them. We're catching up. So go on over to the YouTube page and check out the early era of the Holy Hour podcast. We got 1 through 70 probably up by now. So yeah, lots of good stuff back in the old back catalog. So go check it out there. And I'm starting to kind of tidy up that page a bit too. So there's a playlist of rare Cure clips, since it is YouTube after all. I figured I'd put those on there, and a playlist of cool interviews that I have found and referenced in different episodes throughout the years. So lots of cool stuff over there now. Go check it out on YouTube and Instagram. That's where it's all at. The Holy Hour Podcast. Check us out there, and check out our buddy Chaz's Instagram, 17_seconds, and get all the latest on his Cure shirts at 17secondshirts.bigcartel.com. All the latest will be up for pre-order there, and you can check them out as well as past ones. And yeah, we'll catch you soon. Thanks for partaking again, Bella and Kelly. You guys are amazing. I hope to hear from you both soon. You guys out there want to follow Bella and Kelly's lead and just have your own Cure conversation, we would love to use it as an episode. You saw how it's done now. See, it's that easy. Go on out, have a few drinks, talk with your buddy about the Cure. So appreciate it. Thanks for showing us how it's done. Hall of Fame coverage is coming up next, guys. Chaz and I were there, as were many of you. Stay tuned and talk hard.
thing.